In this video, we're going to focus on how we can give our skills, or our skills title specifically, a nice background color. So this will be interesting because we can give it any color, but by default it will not work. So that will mean that we need to create our own custom plugin for this. So let's explore how to do this right now. In this video, we're going to focus on one of the viewers' questions, which is how to set background color on skill title in Chartjs. So this question came from one of my other videos about how to add the skill titles in Chartjs, and in here this question came from Colonel Kung. So a special thank you to Colonel Kung for asking the question, and this is what Colonel Kung asked. Thank you for the video. Is there a way to set a background color on the skill title or a way to make a custom skill title? Well, let's focus on creating a background color on the skill title, because this here requires a bit more work and it's slightly more complicated. So I would say go for this. Alright, so to do this, we will have to get first our default code. To get our default code, make sure you go to chartjs3.com, getting started, and you might notice this, my Google Chrome gives this weird error. Anyway, copy all of this text here, or this chunk of code, and if you want to understand what this code does, make sure you watch this video here that explains all about the JavaScript in that code. I'm going to paste this all in here, and once we did that, I'm going to cut this out, I'm going to put it in here, and then save and refresh. There we are. So now we have our bar chart, and what we want to do now is start to work with the titles. So how do we add a title in here? Well, that's a very straightforward process. We go in here in the X scale, and then in the X scale we're going to say here title, and the title, then you will say here display true, because by default it is set on display false. Once it's set on display true, we can say here text, and this text could be anything. Alright, so once we did this, comma here, we want to do exactly the same here to enable the title. So we say display true, and then we can say here text, and this text could be again any other text. Save this, refresh. Oh, let's see what's going on here. I think I forgot a comma. Unexpected identifier 93. Alright, so we have here no comma. Make sure we have a comma there. Save that, refresh. There you are. So now we have this here, and what I really want to do now is basically give it a proper item. So we can say here the weekdays, or the days, doesn't matter. Let's say weekdays, and here we can say sales in dollars. So to do this, I'm going to use a trick because this is essential eventually for us. So I'm going to use here, like just put it here up, and then we're going to say here the following, a const, basically the values, that will be constant, and this will be scale x equals weekdays, and then we have another one here, which will be the scale y equals sales in dollars. So once we have this, I'm going to grab these and just reassign them here, and this is easier for us, as you can see here now and later on if we need to grab it. And the reason why is we're going to create a plugin to grab the value here, which is eventually in here, and that saves us some time and avoid some complications that we have if we need to grab it directly from here. Anyway, what we're going to do now is here in the options put a comma, and then we say your plugins, and in this plugin we're going to give it a proper name. So what we can say here is background skills title. I guess that will be most descriptive one. Let's copy that. And then what we want to do here is the following. We're going to make here this new plugin. And in this plugin, we're going to say a constant equals, sorry, not equals, but then equals, and then here, curly braces, ID. I'm going to grab this one here. This is optional, but can be useful if you want to put something in the options. However, I will not cover this in this video. I have other videos for that. So what we're going to do now is going to focus here on the following. What we need to do here is to say when would we like to draw it. We say before draw, it will draw this first, and afterwards it will draw everything else. Because why? We want to make sure that the background color is at the back, and then the title will be on top. If we don't do that, what will happen is maybe the title will be first, and then the background color, if it would be a solid color, would overlap the text here. So that's what we want to avoid. That's why we're going to say before draw. So before draw, and then in here we're going to grab here a few variables, arguments, the chart, arguments, and options. And in here we're going to use a constant, and we might use some of them, but we might not use them all. But just in case, we're going to grab the CTX, which is the chart default item, which is basically just going into this specific item here. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to chart area. We might need to know the positions, basically the pixel width of our chart area. The chart area is basically where the chart is being drawn. And the reason why we need to know this, we might need to know here like the width, or specific, this is the width here, but here's this extra piece that we eventually need to calculate. So we will do with some tricks around here, because this is still what I would call pixel perfect positioning, meaning we need to still play around with the pixel numbers. I was trying to look for a way to automate it. I'm sure there's a way, but it's just quite complicated to figure out. So I thought, fair enough, I'll just do it like this, and then you can just continue on and search what is the sweet spot for your specific text, maybe for long text, short text. So then you have to figure that one out yourself. So what we're going to do here is basically the following. I want to get the left, the right, the top, the bottom, the width, and the height. Make sure they're all commas, by the way. Once we have this, I will get the next value, which is, we put a comma here, then we say the scales, and in the scales, we're going to get the x value and the y value. This will be important later on. Let's say equals chart. So the reason why x and y scale values are very important here is later on we're going to grab these values to measure basically the width of this and the width of those. And of course we still will have the other items, but we are doing a lot of tricks here just to get this working. I will put a semicolon here down because I like to put semicolons, although it's not really necessary anymore in JavaScript, but I know if I use PHP I start to become very sloppy by not doing this anymore. So, and PHP is strict on that. So anyway, just a habit basically. So what we're going to do now is, first of all, what I want to do here is just to show you a few items. What I want to do here is the console log, and then just show you, alright, what is the chart, or what is left, for example. If I save this now, refresh, we can see here left is 50 pixels almost. That's basically the starting point from here to there. This is left. And if you will have right, it will be the very end of this. That will be eventually 700 pixels. As you can see here, the width, if you look at the tooltip here above, is 700 pixels, and the height would be 350. Of course, not this height. This height would be only the chart area. Let me show you what I'm talking about. We do here height, refresh. This is 265. This would be the height. And the reason why 267 is because here of this and that needs to be deducted from the total. This 350 minus that would be, there's about 70 pixels of white space here, approx. Alright, what I really want to do now is, let's remove that. What I want to do now is to figure out here the position of this and that one. So since they're both in different positions, it's slightly tricky. We need to figure out the x, y coordinates of the starting point and the ending point. So let's start and work on that. To do this, what I'm going to do here is just very simple. I'm going to just start with an item, go to CTX save, and this CTX save will start to save the item or all the variables we have here. And what I want to do now is I'm going to say, first of all, color. I'm going to say fill style, and basically this would be eventually a specific color that we will fill. I'm going to grab here, this will be eventually our X scale. So I'm going to grab for the X scale, I want to grab a nice green color, which is this one, slightly transparent. We're going to grab this here semicolon, alright. Once we did this, we're going to say fill rect, because basically what we need is a rectangular shape. And here we have four values, the x0, y0, sorry. And then we have the x1 and y1. So what are they? This is the starting coordinate for the x. X meaning horizontal. Remember, this scale here. So it's the x. We need to figure out here where we need to start. And then we need to figure out where we need to end. Well, basically the width of it. How many pixels in width do we need? And, well, that would be x1. That's the width. And this one here, the y, would mean how many pixels we need to go down. And then how many pixels here would be the height. So this is slightly pixel perfect planning. To make sure we understand it, I just want to do here very simple 10 by 10 by 10 by 10. If I save this now, refresh, oh, let's see, we're missing something. All right, what's the problem? CTX. Why? CTX indicates we're going to draw in the canvas. If not, it will not draw anywhere. It doesn't know what to draw. So save this again, refresh. There you are. So I see this here. I want to make this for now just solid so we can clearly spot it. All right, so that's it here. Let's push it all down here. So to push it down here, well, we have this here, basically this one here. And what we're going to do now, just to figure out the position on this, well, we need to really look at the bottom here. So if I do bottom, and put it in here, it will go down here. And then you can see here, it goes down. This is the chart area here. And what we need to do here is basically, there's some space here. It's very hard to find it. I could not find this somewhere in there. I know it's probably somewhere there. If you could find that one eventually, I will make another video regarding to that. But right now, I could not find it. But the best way to do it for me now, right now, is to calculate the top. The top here basically is the starting point from here to here, which is approximately this to here. So that's what we're going to do here. So we're going to say bottom plus top, save, refresh. Alright, so we have something here, not 100% pixel perfect. That's what I told you. We're going to play around with some pixels later on. But well, let's push it now to the right, because now we're still at the left side and we need to go to the right. So for this, we can use here the starting point, and here we have a trick. And this trick will be basically on the x value, which is on the x scale, and then we say here dot, then we say here get pixel for tick. And what is a tick? Well, tick is basically the index number here, basically these lines here. Or more specifically, we have this one here. It starts, I think, in the center. So this is 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3. We go in here. So if I do this, we can say here number 2 for now. Let's save that. Refresh. We get there. Alright, so now we can say maybe number 3. Refresh. There we are. So now we get this here. But the starting point is exactly in the center here. So we need to move a x amount to the right. And what we could do here is probably calculate the width here. That would be the starting point. So how do we calculate the width now? And this is the reason why I wanted to grab the scale x here separate. Alright, so we go in here, and as I told you before, this is not an easy task. So what we're going to do here is basically this. I'm going to calculate here, let's say a constant. This constant will be the x, let's say length text, and then we say here equal the following. I'm going to say ctx.measure text, and this measure text will be scale x, and then we say here dot width. Doing so, what will happen is eventually we'll grab here this text here and we'll measure the width of it. This is very important. This width value should eventually give us the answer. We can do here constant log. And all I want to do here is to grab this one and then save that, refresh. Alright, so we have here width of 59, so approx 60 pixels. Fair enough. So we need to go here not 60 pixels because we are basically now in the center together with it. We need to go here. See, with this 60 divided by 2 basically. So we're going to grab here the width, this x length width, divide by 2. Where are we? There you are. So we're going to say here, well, let's say this width. I'm going to just divide it by 2 in here. Then I say here minus. And the reason why minus is because we're too far here. We need to go a bit back. So going closer to the 0. This is the 0 point. Because here is going to the width of 700. Here is 0. We are now right now 350. So we say minus 30 pixels. We should probably move here somewhere. And then we need to calculate how much extra. So we say this x length. Alright, save that. Refresh. So now we get this one. But I want to do minus another, or then plus 5 pixels. See if this works, maybe it will go here. If not, I need to minus. Alright, so you can see here I don't want that, I need to minus. So what will happen is basically minus minus. Here, there we are. Alright, so now we got this here. I want to increase the height of our text here, because it was 10 pixels. And we can imagine here the font size is probably 12. So let's put in this 15. So where is that? Sorry, that is not there, but here. The height is the item here, 15. Save that. Alright, so that gets better already. So now what we need to calculate is the true width here. And well, basically the true width would be not the 10 pixels, but I guess this one, again, multiplied by 2. So where are we here? Maybe we should have this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to create 2 of these items. Now what I will say here, this will be length, the x length. That's the text length divided by 2, I guess. So we say length divided by 2. So that will just refactoring it a little bit. All right. So probably you figure out now what we're doing here is we get this width is 60 pixels. Then we can assign that here. Let's save this. There you are. Then of course some pixel perfect work plus 10 pixels. I guess this would be very, very decent. Now what I want to do here, just for the sake of it, 0.2. Save that. There we are. So now we have done or completed the first one. So the next one is almost similar to this, slightly different, but almost. So what we need to do first is, of course, here. This is very important because this is the tricky one. You will say, all right, so then we need to figure out just here what's the height. Well, guess what? What they really did was clever, is they make the text first in a standard horizontal text, and then they rotate that. So basically the text height here is text width, or at least to measure it, we need to know the text width. So all we need to do here is same as above. So let's go down here. And then I'm going to say, first of all, I'm going to say ctx restore to reset whatever we have here above. I do not want to keep that. So I want to restore it, and then I want to continue on here. How do we do this here? I'm going to grab here again the same item, put it in here. We have the x length, and now it's not the x length, we say the y length, and this will be the y scale. So once we do this, we can just do a console log here. Put that in here. Grab this y length here, save that, refresh. Alright, I have here too many console logs. I'm going to delete some of them. Right now I don't want all of this. It's too much information. Refresh. There you are. 52. Alright, so that works. So now what we need to do is the following. We need to get the positioning on this. Again, the same structure we did before. I'm going to copy all of this. I'm going to put in here. Enter this. Alright. So what I want to do for the other item, I want to make it a red transparent. Let's copy this. Put it in here. Semicolon. Refresh. Alright, so now it's still same position here. I don't want this, of course, but because of all of our items here. So I guess what we could do here is just maybe just reset this back to 10 by 10 by 10. And for the sake of it, because it's easier to just really start from scratch here, helps us a little bit to consider what we need to do with 10, comma 10, and 10. Alright, save that, refresh. We have this here. Let's make this solid for now. Save that, refresh. Alright, let's push this down. So how do we get this down here? Well, we need to really figure out. This one is slightly tricky because it is in the center. Well, let's see. How did we do it previously? We get here the get pixel for tick. So what we could do here as well is say, I'm going to grab here as well, pixel for tick. And then what we can do it in tick or in value. So what's the difference? We have value is basically if it would be 6 or maybe 7. Because look at this here, we're halfway. So we can do 7 or 6, but then we cannot do tick because a tick is basically these tick lines here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it will be 4. But if you want to get the value, this is 6. The value is 6, but here between is 7. So we can grab this as well. So let's do that one here. So I'm going to say here the x value. Then here 4. Sorry, not the x. This is the y value. Get pixel for value instead of tick, number 7. Save that. Refresh. Alright, so now I see I make a tiny mistake. Why? We need to go down. I was already looking at down, but the first value here is, of course, is the x value. So I'm going to remove this and move it 1 here because this is the y value working on the vertical level. Save that. Refresh. Alright, so we're here now and it starts somewhere there. Alright, fair enough. Then what I want to do here is basically get the next item. I guess I realize we need to not start here. The reason why it will go down here. We need to start up here. So that will be 11. Sorry about that. I told you this is slightly tricky for me as well. So refresh, there we are. So that is better. So now the next thing what I need to do here is figuring out our starting point here at the left side. I guess 0 would be more than sufficient. Alright, so that would be acceptable, and then we just make sure the height would be better. So I'm going to put it at 0.2 now, so it will look more better. And then here, the how many pixels here? I would say if we have in the other one 15, I would accept 15 as well here. So I'm going to do 15 here. Then this will be about 15. Alright, so I figured out that 15 is not acceptable here. 20. Alright, so that looks better. 20. And now we need to go down here, where we need to end this at the 7. Alright, so this is the tricky part. Because 7 would be from up to down here, and then would be the width will be complete. So what I need to do is here 7 minus 11. So that will be eventually what we need here. So I'm going to grab this, and we can just do maybe 11 minus 7. Save that, and refresh. Alright, so it doesn't work. Why? 7 is higher in value, and the reason why, of course, is this. We start at 0 here up. So 7 is higher value because it goes more pixels down compared to 11. Alright, so this is the reason why we need to just convert this here, save, refresh. And then we have, of course, sorry about this again. I need to change that again. So this should be 20, of course, because we need to be in here. Save that, refresh. There we are. So we could maybe, I realized that here should maybe just a few pixels more because this 20 is maybe too much. I'll do 15, but I'll move it 5 pixels. And 2.5. I guess that would be most identical. If I say here maybe 17. Alright, so that will be a little bit, as you can see, a slightly more pixel perfect. So now we have this, but you can see here, this is of course very important. We could, I guess we could even get the, I calculated this here, but maybe it would be even more sense just to get the height of our x value here, the measuring of that. Well, let's try that. We're going to copy that. Just going to grab this one, refresh. Alright, this works of course, and then we say here, plus 10, let's see if that one works. There we are, maybe, is it plus 10? I feel like it's slightly too much off, so I can say here plus 7. That's better. So my biggest concern would be if I would type in here ABC, save that, refresh. As you can see here, this is a tricky one because it goes up here. So then in your case, you have to figure out where's the new position, and then in this case would be the position would be 12. And then you could play around with that. So that's the only thing what I would recommend you. Is there a way to soft code that? Absolutely, it just requires a lot of extra thinking, but I don't want to go too deep in it right now. But I think I give you the right tools right now, and you can just probably figure that one out on your own. So this is basically how you can play around with it. And if you enjoyed this video, maybe you want to go even deeper with clickable versions of, let's say, the scales, or maybe even this. So if you understand how this pixel calculation works, you can probably watch this video here, how to create, how to create clickable X scales with links in Chartjs. Extremely interesting and very well connected with whatever you want to do here, because we learned here how to use pixels on our own already.